guys, welcome back. It's Mandy here on Brock Family Farm. Today we're going to be doing a garden update. How my summer harvest went with my garden, what I grew that was so successful for me, and what I grew that was a complete fail. So what did I grow that was a complete success, something that I will absolutely grow next year? That would be potatoes, tomatoes, summer squash, pepperoncinis, cucumber, and zucchinis. The potatoes did great. I actually did a lot of research, and I did use the M.I. Gardener fertilizer that he recommends in his potato growing video, and can I just say, I had to sign up for like the alert until it was in stock, but I ended up getting my hands on it, and I will completely be doing that again to get my hands on another bag of that, because I really noticed a difference in my potatoes this year than last year. Grow more of them, completely more. And I will be adding some pictures in from my harvest throughout this video, just to kind of give you guys an idea on what everything looked like. Tomatoes. I started 200 tomato plants in my greenhouse. Now, a lot of that was for the seedling sale, which was very successful in itself. But I only sold so many at the seedling sale because I only had the sale for one day. I ended up planting 18 tomato plants on our property. And some were in my raised garden beds, and some I ended up putting in our rocky soil. And they were completely different results just between those two growing methods. The tomatoes that were in my raised garden beds were so much more healthier, but they were a lot smaller. The tomato plants I put directly into our soil were not as healthy, had so much bug pressure, but they got so much larger than the ones that were in my raised garden beds. Summer squash, I only had 2 plants that made it through until the end of the season. Only 2. But can I tell you, we were up in our ears with yellow crookneck summer squash. Like, I was picking probably 2 or 3 every single day. It was insane. It was completely prolific. I will absolutely be growing that again next year. It's my mother-in-law's favorite, and I was so happy to be able to provide that for her. Fresh garden produce that is her favorite all summer long. I did save some that got a little bit bigger so I can harvest seeds from those. Pepperoncinis. We were up in our ears with pepperoncinis as well. I'm going to let them sit in the vinegar and water concoction a little bit longer before I have Cody try them. But after he tries them, I will let you know what he thinks about those. Now, I am looking down at some notes, so sorry about that. Cucumber. We did get a few cucumbers. Not as many squash and not as many as tomatoes, but it was still prolific here on the farm, and I was able to harvest them pretty frequently. My zucchini, I only had 1 zucchini plant make it through the season, and it was very good. If I ended up having 2 of my plants survive, I probably would have been up in my ears in zucchini as well. I don't know if you know, but Cody's grandmother lives with us, and I've been frying her up zucchini for the last couple months. So zucchini was very productive, very happy with my zucchini plant. Green beans was also something that did very well. Now, from my greenhouse videos, you'll see that I started Kalima bush bean plants, and I did end up selling those at my seedling sale, but guess what? Kalima bush bean was not a bush bean. It was a pole bean, and I was very disappointed in that because I'm a bush bean girl, always have been. So instead of putting the Kalima bush beans in my garden and trying to figure out trellising, I just grabbed a couple of my tried and true Blue Lake seeds, put them in my raised garden beds over here to my right, and they did great. I did start them a little bit later in the season, but still happy with that. Now we're going to go into the fails of my garden. What I did, probably a lot of it was me and my mistake, and others could be just maybe these veggies just won't grow for me very well here. So those were pumpkins. My pumpkins did not do great. Yes, I ended up with one single pumpkin, but I planted probably 6 or 8 pumpkin plants, and I only got one pumpkin. Peppers, my sweet peppers and Cody's Carolina Reaper peppers, complete fail. The sweet peppers, I did get a couple fruit off of them, but they were just so small and they weren't good. So I don't really know exactly what I did wrong there. I was fertilizing them with a fish emulsion fertilizer. It was a complete fail. But oh well, I just won't grow them next year, or maybe I'll try a different fertilizer. I don't want to cut myself off completely to sweet peppers, but it was a complete fail this year. That is going to be it for my vegetables. We are going to move into flowers. What I grew was very prolific and did me well, and what I will not be growing next year. The flowers that did amazing were my marigolds, zinnias, gladiolas, and sunflowers. Those all did amazing. The marigolds just completely took off. I did end up pinching the marigolds, and I did try replanting some of those tops. What I can say is probably 30% of them ended up surviving, the rest didn't. But that was just something extra that I could add to my farm, something I already grew that I really didn't invest any extra time in or seeds. So I will definitely be pinching again my marigolds next year. I would like to find maybe a different color. All I did this year was like yellow and orange. I just want to add some more color into my bouquets for next year. Maybe some more purples or pinks or reds, just a different color, because I had a lot of the rudbeckia, the sunflowers, and the marigolds, which were all yellow and orange. So I really just needed some more color in my bouquets. So what flowers did I try growing that just were a complete fail? Number one would be the gomphrena. Now, the gomphrena germinated, they transplanted well into the garden, but I'm not sure what happened. The gomphrena only grew probably 6 inches off the ground, and that was it. It just stayed there. It didn't get taller, which it was not tall enough for bouquets. So either maybe I picked the wrong variety and wasn't paying attention to the height, or I did something wrong and my gomphrena just didn't come to fruition. Another fail would be the delphinium. I can't tell you how many delphinium I germinated, but I only had one survive. And delphinium, there was a cold stratification process in the beginning. Now, I already made a comment thinking that I messed up something in the cold stratification process just because I only had a couple germinate. But even after my couple germinated, they were just still they just did not do well. And honestly, I don't have any delphinium right now. They all died. So it was supposed to be a perennial that I could have put in my front landscaping. That's what I wanted the delphinium for, because it was a dwarf variety. So either I need to try a different variety of delphinium, or I just need to do more research and try to figure out what I did wrong, because the delphinium was a complete fail. Number one, I started my zinnias way too early. I followed the seed packet and it said to start it 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. Well, I started them 6 weeks before my last frost. and the zinnias that I transplanted ended up completely dying probably early June. So I had to completely plant new zinnias. So I started more zinnias in the greenhouse, and I ended up transplanting them probably when they were only about this tall. And they did amazing. They did great. And the color was, it was a mix. And it was beautiful. And they did great after that. I think I also started my pumpkins too early. Not only did I start them too early, but I also transplanted them outside too early. So I transplanted them early May, and then we ended up having a couple really bad storms and a lot of rain, and I just think I put them out way too early. I should have waited. So that was my fault. I've always grown pumpkins successfully, but I think with the weather and me being a little impatient, it made it so I didn't have a very good pumpkin harvest this year. I will not be growing Gomphrena next year. I feel like everything else I did for the bouquets did very well, and those didn't. So I'm just going to look for something else that I can add to my bouquets to give that extra texture, which was what I was looking for, because I wasn't able to use that in my bouquets this year. I feel like my bouquets were lacking a little bit. So I'm gonna look for an extra filler that I can throw into my bouquets. I also started way too many tomatoes. I started 200, like I said. I did okay selling in the seedling sale, but I ended up with probably 100 tomato plants, and I said I only planted 18. I gave so many away to my neighbors and friends and family, and I was just like, please come and take these tomatoes. I don't want them going to waste. I had nowhere else to plant more tomatoes, or else I would have. Overall, I'm very happy with everything. I knew I was hard on myself in the beginning about where my garden was and how it was looking. I just had to take a step back and be like, you accomplished this much with what you had. Be patient. Your garden will look the way you want it one day. It's not a rush. The time it takes to get to how you want it is also fulfilling, because I'm the only one and Cody's the only one putting effort into this garden. We don't have the resources to go out and just hire somebody to get it done. I wish we did. But on the other hand, do I? Because my own blood, sweat, and tears has gone into this garden. And 40 years from now, when I look out that window and I look at my garden and I say, I did that. I laid every single one of those bricks. I put together every single one of those garden beds. So I'm ready to take the time to get my garden the way it is. I need to stop being so hard on myself. I need to be more patient. And I'm getting there. I really am. I'm in a completely different place now than I was in early summer. I was just being way too hard on myself. And gardening, it's something that when you have the least amount of expectations, then you just have all this positive just coming to you and be like, I didn't expect this, but it's great. That's how I need to move on going forward. I also was able to help so many of my friends this last year in getting their garden up and going. My neighbors, my friends in the area. It felt so good to tell them what worked for me, and that what might work for them, it might not, but it's the knowledge that I have and what's worked for me. And it was very fulfilling to help them. So that's why I'm here. I'm here right now sharing with you what I did right in my garden, what I did wrong, what do I want to change. And you know what? If we keep bouncing things off of each other, how much more knowledge are we going to gain? I've already been growing for the last 4 or 5 years, but every single year, I learned something from my garden. Every single year, it gives me something back. And it's incredible. I was able to can my very own spaghetti sauce from tomatoes I grew in this garden. Just a couple days ago, the kids and I went out and picked all of the unripe tomatoes to ripen in the garage so that we can do a round of enchilada sauce. I had enough tomatoes to make 2 rounds of canning spaghetti sauce and then a round of enchilada sauce. The last 2 years, I didn't grow a single tomato. Not one. Now, granted, I've learned it was a lot of my area and the space I had at the duplex just wasn't enough for sunlight. But this year I grew tomatoes. So many tomatoes. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait to learn more in the garden and prosper and become a better gardener. Gardening is something I am truly passionate about, and canning my own food without preservatives and other things. You just look at the label and see all the ingredients and you're like, what is that? We don't know. When I canned my spaghetti sauce, I knew every single ingredient I put in there. Overall, I had some fails this year in the garden, but I am completely proud of myself. I know this was more of a chit-chat video. Hopefully the photos I throw in here and there will make it a little bit more entertaining, but I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch this video.